name is Hayley, and what is your name and job role?
My name is Andrew Siddle, usually known as Sid, and my job role is project coordinator of Platform 11 Plus for emergency exit arts.
Okay. Have you always wanted to work in the arts?
Yes.
And what inspired you to do that?
It was a very brief notion that I might go into architecture, but I changed.
And what inspired you to do that?
Youth theatre. I think a combination of joining a youth theatre when I was 13 or so, and the kind of visual art stuff I did at school. So doing art O-level, art A-level, and I really loved that. And then the performing side kind of came in from a outside of school experience.
So is that the pathway that you took to getting involved, or did you go to university? Or?
I went to college. Very specifically went to a college called Dartington College of Arts, which was, not so much now, but was very much about devising and improvising and stuff rather than an acting course or an acting school, which was about script stuff. So I was never particularly excited by script. I like the idea of creating and making it yourselves. So.
Okay. What is your role in this project?
Producer, really, co-producer with Sari Tanno's here in Finland. So between the two of us, we've sort of sorted out the schedules and the finance and the budgets and the who's going where, doing what, when, and all that kind of thing. And then we're just now moving into the tour of the show, because it'll be here in Finland for the next in repertoire in the theatre, so it'll be on for the next 3 months, and then we're on tour to Palmela in Portugal, to Milan in Italy, to London, UK, and then to Dresden. And before it does all of that, it will also go to St. Petersburg, Russia.
So what's been your highlight so far?
Of this particular project, because I'm involved in Platform, which is 4 years, so there's a lot of highlights. But I think the highlight for me on this particular one has to be Mr. Alex Evans stepping onto the stage on Friday evening when he was supposed to be in the audience watching. That was an unexpected moment, and he did such a brilliant job. And that's, for me, that kind of represents the team. It's the kind of attitude that the team that's involved in Platform has to it. It's a series of opportunities, and the way that you grab those opportunities and run with them is what makes Platform such an exciting project, I think.
Have you had to overcome any obstacles along the way?
How long have you got? Yeah, I mean, Platform is a big project. It's 4 years long, and we've got a huge core funding from the EU, the Culture Fund and the EU, which is fantastic, and it makes things possible that otherwise aren't possible. But and this is a kind of bigger picture than the show itself. What it does is we set expectations of each other, of the 12 companies that are involved in it. We set a plan, and then we have to deliver it as those companies. But there's not always the capacity within each company. There's not the financial backing within those companies. In the future, there are, we set an idea, a plan, but we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months' time. So, for instance, in the last 6 months, several of the companies involved, including EEA, have had financial restrictions because the whole financial climate across Europe has changed. That means that some of the companies are struggling to hit the targets that we've set for each other. So part of my job is to do that, is to address those kind of issues. So trying to find the funds to pay for Patrick, to pay for Alex, to pay for accommodation, to that's one of the major obstacles in it. I think the second is about convincing people of the value of the project, because if they're not here, they don't see it, and that means that you have to be able to express what the project is about, and that's quite hard sometimes. If you're in it, you kind of feel what it's about, but being able to put that into words and convince people who aren't involved in it and maybe come from a different perspective, so it might be purely financial. It's about bottom line and can we afford to do this? Why are we spending money on this when we're not getting the return from it? Those kind of things. They're my challenges.
Okay.
Specific to the job, and not always the most fun bit.
So how does the culture of theatre in Finland differ from theatre back in England?
Well, I haven't really been engaging with the theatre side of it, much more visual arts. My job, I have two jobs. One is project coordinator for Emergency Exit Arts, but the second one I work directly for Platform, and I run the visual arts side of it, and work out where the visual artists that are involved from each company, where they come together, how they work together, and that kind of thing. So my bit here has been about the art side of it rather than the theatre, the show side. Alex has done the show side and he's done it really well, and I don't need to get involved in that. I'm much more involved in what Patrick and Maya have been doing and what I've been doing in terms of taking the art outside of the building. So the odd thing, particularly on the visual art side, is doing the snow sculptures here, which for me has been incredibly exciting and a really interesting challenge, because working in snow is not something we get the chance to do. We don't have enough in the UK, and it's not there for long enough. But here, we're surrounded by it. It's a great material, and spending 4 or 5 days on my knees outside in the ice, carving into frozen snow, because it's not ice carving, it's snow moulding almost, which is a different thing, and I've had to learn that this week because I didn't quite know what I was getting into. It looks like polystyrene, but it doesn't act like it. And I suppose the interesting thing for me has been that the Finnish people have looked at me like I've been completely mad, because it's minus 30 degrees and I'm on my knees outside carving snow, and they just dash past with their hats and their gloves and everything else and dash into the theatre going, who's the crazy man in the snow? Because they wouldn't do it. But it's here all the time. The material is here. That's what I think is really baffling, is that because they're surrounded by it, it's not exciting to do that. For me, it's extremely exciting. And the nice thing is that I've had an awful lot of people stopping to talk and chat about it and intrigued by it. And the difference between what we've done outside and the kind of the art of that compared to the big snow sculptures outside in the market square is huge. It's a very different approach, it's a very different kind of finish and all of that. So, yeah.
Cool. And just to finish off, if you were deserted on a desert island, what 3 artist materials would you take with you?
Ooh. Deserted on a desert island means that you've got sand and water and maybe a few trees, maybe. but definitely sand and water. That's the ideal of a kind of deserted desert island. So you've got two great materials there already. So sand sculpting, for instance, rather than snow sculpting, is another great thing. So you could carve and make. You could go mad on a beach if you had long enough, and you need the water to work with the sand. So I'm happy with those two. So what else would I need? Maybe a knife, a good knife, and a spoon.
That's all you need.
So you can carve into the sand. You make a big pile and you can carve into it. And something round and something sharp, two very useful things. And a third. I've got a third.
Yep.
Maybe a camera.
Perfect. Thank you very much.